you take your finished block size, let's say 4 inches, and you add 1 1/4 inch. So that would be 5 1/4 inch. So add to the finished block size 1 1/4 inches, and you have the size. So now match with right sides together a strip that has been cut in this instance 5 1/4 inch. And I have the right sides together of the blocks. And then I would cut 5 1/4 inch squares. So they're just squares. Then to mark these, you're marking from point to point and line it up from corner to corner and mark in the middle, making sure it's accurate all the way down. Now, if you didn't have a gauge such as this, you could simply use a ruler, mark point to point, draw the line, or there are gauges that are made that have little end points. You can place from corner to corner, mark the center, which later will be the cutting line, and then the side. And then we're ready to do the stitching. Before sewing the seams for this 1/4 square triangle, I want to show you the size of the block, which was 5 1/4 inch, yields a 4.5 inch pair of 1/4 square triangles. This may seem rather odd, but this extra length and width is made up in 2 sets of seam allowances. So as when making half square triangles, double check that the marks go from corner to corner, that you use your ruler or your gauge to mark, and then stitch 1/4 inch on either side of that center mark. On the block that's in my machine right now, I have already sewn 1/4 inch on one side of the block, because this is just like making that half square triangle. You have to make half squares before you can make 1/4 squares. Now, normally I would chain a whole slew of blocks together, and you just chain stitch them together, going from one to the other with those little threads that connect them. Then after you have stitched as many as the half square triangles as you need, then you cut apart the blocks. Again, you're cutting half squares first. So I'll cut these apart down the center. You can even use a scissors as far as that goes. And then you have 2 half square triangles. And the blocks that I have here have been pressed toward the darker fabric color. Now on your table, to create the 1/4 square, you're going to line them up so that you have opposite colors meeting, so that the print and the teal are lining up. So I have them stacked, double check that they're aligned. And then on your ruler or your gauge, you're going to mark the opposite corners, which I've already done. Since these are now squares, I'm going to move that little gauge so I can make sure it's all aligned and so that the block is in the confines. Or you could just put a ruler there and mark from point to point. Use a fine tip marking pen. And again, make sure it's all lined up and mark. Then once you've marked this section, you're going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides. And again, you'll be chain stitching some of them together. Make sure that seam allowance is down. And I'm just going to make one block for you. And then we'll do the other side.
And then you can kind of...
A crosser foot that has 1/4 inch toe width is excellent for this project, as it is with most quilting projects. Then we'll take it to the mat and do some more cutting between those stitching lines. And I think you're going to see what's going to happen very quickly. So from those 2 squares of fabric, I now have 2 sets of 1/4 square triangles. So just pressing. As before, I like to set the seam, press along the stitching line, and then press in one direction. Pressing from the inside. This is the way I like to press it so I don't get a little pleat in here. I'll just press. And then to set the seam so that the seam definitely is flat, use a wooden block like a tailor's clasp to press so that the moisture is absorbed into the block, and you have a very excellent square that's created from those two blocks that were 5 1/4 inch. So from 2 squares, you get 2 quarter square triangles. Some quilt block names have a long history. Others are simply made up on the fly. I'll let you decide the authenticity of this block named the quarter square dance. Regardless of what it's called, it's the perfect block to begin our no-hassle quilt block journey. As we look at this block, you can see this has 4 squares to create a block, and each of them are quarter square triangles, different fabric combinations, simple block, but has an interesting play of color with it. As I discussed earlier, when you have a finished block size, you cut the block 1 1/4 inch larger. So I have the 2 block sets of ivory and aqua, the print and the ivory together. And these would then be marked first as a half square triangle stitched, cut apart, and then put together as I showed you just a few minutes ago as a quarter square. So when laying these out, then it's really easy because it's only 4. But you simply place, as I have here, so that every block, the light meets the dark and the light, and that's how you get the 4 square quarter square dance. And throwing this together, first program of this series, you can refer back to that on DVD or online, but I met one left column to the middle column or right column in this instance, then sew continuously chaining these together, and then you sew the row between, or sew the rows together. So it's a simple block, a great way to start out working with quarter square triangles. This quilt block, named Boys Nonsense, was officially recorded and appeared in print in 1898. Appears to include regular strips. Well, not so. The design is a combination of half and quarter planed center. It's always good to kind of analyze the blocks, see how it's made up. And Boys Nonsense, as I said, I named this one, has half squares, which we did in the first program, and then quarter squares. So you can see how the rectangular shape is created by the combination of the two. And the middle, just a plain block. So you have to cut 3 different sizes of squares for this particular block. The center, since the finished block is 4 inches, the center is cut 1/2 inch wider. So we have 4 1/2 inch center block. Then for the half square triangles, you joined us last time, you found out that those are cut 7/8 of an inch larger than the finished block. So these are 4 7/8. And then these are the smaller ones, excuse me, these are 4 7/8. And then the quarter squares are cut 5 1/4. So it's a little math, but once you get the cutting down, I think you'll be able to see how this works. So I have my center block, and I'm just going to put the quarter squares around it, and then in the corners, and my little cheat sheet here, I'm just going to peek at the corner, at my little notes, to see how those rectangular shapes are created. And then, Boys Nonsense. It might be difficult to comprehend, but the next block, Silent Star, is almost identical to the last block, Boys Nonsense. The main difference in construction is the center. All the other blocks are the same. This is a case where fabric choices totally change the design of the quilt block. Now, if we look at this block that's in the upper left of my quilt, it doesn't look much like the last block that we had. But on the table, I have the Boys Nonsense quilt block placed next to the Silent Star. And here you can see there are half square triangles, quarter square triangles. The difference is that in the middle of this block, instead of it being a solid, it's a quarter square.
Here.
But look at all the unique different colorations that cause a design change.
Pretty there though.
This is a quarter square, this is a quarter square, but just by changing color, you have a lot of variety in your quilt making. Simple in design yet elegant, the Ohio Star quilt block has been in use since the early 1800s, with a spike in popularity in the 1930s. See how this 9-patch block can be made the no-hassle way in the 21st century. There are many configurations for the Ohio Star, and I happen to choose solid fabrics in the corners, a solid fabric square for the middle, and then the 4 quarter square triangles, as you can see, between all the corners. The fabric color choice is important, and you can play around with that, but what I'd like to show you now is making a quarter square triangle with 3 different fabrics, because that is kind of a little bit of a trick. So if we look at the fabrics that I've cut out, I have the 4.5-inch squares for the corners and center, and then for the quarter square triangles, we would cut 5 1/4, and have 2 color combinations, as you can see. This teal and print yields this block, the ivory and print yields the other block. You take one of each block color that has the common denominator of the print, and when you put these right sides together, if I have this right, I almost have to look at it twice. Nope. Let me turn it around so that the prints are in the opposite way. I would then stack these right sides together and then mark down the center. And you can see, even though I haven't marked or stitched it, how it creates 3 different fabrics. Again, to make it a little bit clearer, we're going to place the same fabrics on opposite sides. And then stitching down the center, you get 3 colors on a quarter square triangle. And then when laying this out, you can do it in a variety of ways, but here are the quarters, squares, and let me see, that doesn't look right. Here we go. And then put a solid square in the center. And ta-da, an Ohio Star block, 9-patch. Now for your master's degree in quarter square triangles. The Star of Hope combines a half and quarter square triangle. I call it a modified quarter square. Notice that the 3 color blocks, aqua, ivory, and teal. Success comes by thinking through and following the directions. When we look at this block, you'll see that there are some half square triangles in the corner, and then this is the modified quarter square triangle, and then a solid block. This is what I'd like to show you how to create. You cut some of the fabric as if it's a quarter square. So the portions that are going to create the triangle, this was cut 5 1/4. And you sew down either side of the center to create these 2 blocks. But then for the third fabric, if you cut it 5 1/4, it's going to be too large. So you cut this to the size of a half square triangle, which happens to be 4 7/8 for this particular block. And you place it on top of the triangle that you see here, the half square triangle. The ruler or the gauge, whatever you're using, is placed on the opposite ends, and you mark down the center and stitch 1/4 of an inch on either side, and I think you can see what happens. You get 2 blocks, but they're mirror image. So you choose one of the blocks, make 4 like this, and you wrap it around the center print square that we have here. And I've already started to put one into place. And you can kind of see how this creates a block. So that's the modified quarter square triangle. The card trick quilt block, like most magic, seems impossible to reproduce. What appears as sleight of hand is a very logical block to create once you see the elements. The card trick. I know you will not be fooled by the design. This design was first appeared in print in 1972 or 1975, I believe, and I've always wondered, how is this made? Well, when I use my little squares, I could find out that it's half square triangle, then a modified quarter square, you can see the three colors, and then the center has quarter square triangle with 4 different colors. And that's your master's or your graduate degree in quarter square triangle. Here I have the modified blocks of each color. It makes a lot of sense to make at least 4 blocks at once. But I'm just showing you one because by the time you make all of the triangles, you are going to have extra pieces sent from the center. I have 2 different color combinations. Two of the colors, and you make half squares, which we have right here. You fold it in half, and then mark down the center, and now you can see how that's created. Again, you place it in the center, and your card trick is complete.
Stars. It's the same concept.
My Nancy's Corner guest is here to inspire you to make pouches for kids who need distraction while waiting for a treatment. It takes very little time to create, yet gives great joy to kids as well as their families. Please welcome Sabra Bateman, co-founder of Patient Pouches and T&B Foundation, who joins us today via Skype from South Carolina. Thanks for joining us, Sabra.
Oh, thank you for having me, Nancy.
When I heard the story about Patient Pouches, I was really touched. And share with our viewers the history of Patient Pouches.
Okay. Well, my friend and I, Lindsay Barnett, started T&B Foundation with the intent of starting to provide patient pouches to pediatric cancer patients who were in need as they wait for long appointments prior to surgery or long treatment. And we started T&B Foundation in September of 2013. And again, our goal was to provide a pouch full of activities that kids could use and to help distract them as they wait for long appointments on surgery days.
Now, Sabra, you know about this firsthand experiences.
I do. My son, who was diagnosed with retinoblastoma, which is an eye cancer, at the age of 2 weeks old, and he started treatment immediately and has been in current treatment ever since. And so he has had multiple surgery days and multiple times under anesthesia. And these kids have to wait. They have to go without food or drink because they are having surgery. And so they needed a distraction to help occupy the time on long appointment days.
And there's a free pattern online to make the pouches, and people can embellish them however they like.
That's right. As you can see by some of the photos, we have had a tremendous response from people who share our desire to help support these kids and provide something for them to do. And we have had very creative people supply us pouches, which these kids get to take home with them. When they check in for their surgery, the check-in desk gives them one of these pouches, which are all age appropriate based on the child's age and visual needs, because we do have some children that do not have vision, and so are very poor vision. And so each of the pouches is custom to an age group, and boy or a girl. And so our seamstresses have helped us so much in creating pouches that the kids just love to carry around.
And as you mentioned, age appropriate, I made notes that you have from newborn to 8+ years old. So little inside the pouches can be put some crayons or stuffed toys or whatever you think or the seamstress thinks should be inside.
That's right. We have a wish list that we've created of some items that we've put in. We try to include at least one educational activity because these children often are missing school when they get to be school age. But there are also just fun things for the children to do. Coloring activities and arts and craft activities and Play-Doh and stuffed animals and anything, stickers, anything that you can think of to help distract a child.
And many of your pouches have been given to a hospital in Philadelphia, Wills Eye Hospital, is that correct?
That's correct. That's where both my son and Lindsay's son have received the majority of their treatment. And so at this point, we've donated over 400 patient pouches. But our goal is to expand and to reach out to other children's hospitals throughout the United States. So in order to do that, we have to have the support of people to help make the pouches, and then also to supply donations to fill the pouches. And
What are you doing here? Huh? What am I doing here? What are you doing here? You were supposed to be at the lab 2 hours ago. We tried to call you for the last hour. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait a minute. Take over. I apologize.
It is really boring.
No, I'm fine. I'm just fine. Sure. What's wrong with you? You're in a rut, which you need a little excitement in your life. Listen, do you remember that Miss Universe was here last year?
Yeah.
Well, she's back, and she's got a friend. How about that? Oh, no. Count me up. I won't take no for an answer. This Miss Galaxy is a beauty. About 8 o'clock right here, huh? Yeah. And, do you have another shirt? Yeah. What?
Miss Galaxy is a fat show. They should call her Miss Full Moon.
I thought you'd gone.
I changed my mind.
Oh, I could never do it.
Did you really mean it when you said that I was the greatest thing that ever happened to you?
I refuse to answer on the grounds I may incriminate myself. I'm sorry I made you lose face at the wedding.
You should think Father is still looking for you.
I'll bet he is. I tell you what, we'll send him a herd of camels.
Attention all eligible Medicare beneficiaries. If you're on Medicare, you can now get COVID-19 tests sent to your home every month at absolutely no cost to you. That's right, get up to 8 at-home COVID-19 rapid antigen tests delivered directly to your home for absolutely no cost, including free shipping. Just call 800-416-7926 now to get your COVID-19 test delivered to your door at absolutely no cost to you. Don't get caught without your no-cost at-home COVID test. Just call 800-416-7926 right now to get your COVID-19 test delivered right to your door at absolutely no cost to you. Just call 800-416-7926 right now. This Medicare program provides easy access to request at-home COVID-19 tests at no cost. If you're on Medicare, call 800-416-7926 right now and request up to 8 at-home COVID-19 tests each month delivered to your home at absolutely no cost to you, including free shipping. Call 800-416-7926.
This is Candy Crush Saga.
Where Sweet just got serious. Crush the competition in the All-Stars tournament now.
For a chance to win a share of $250,000. It's All-Stars time.
Play now.
Let's talk about your dirty years. Let me guess. You're probably
Take away.
You need to be using Bush. Trust me. No one wants to tell you how to gross your ears. So wish yourself dirty you. Get 15% off and free shipping at trywish.com.
Who's this message for? It's for people aged 50 and over. If that's you, then keep watching, because this message can mean a lot to you and your family. What is it about? It's about guaranteed life insurance at a cost that fits your budget. In fact, it starts as low as $9.95 a month. The rate you start with is the rate you keep. It will never go up. And you'll love this. You can't be turned down for any reason. No health questions, no medical exam. What's more, your coverage can never be canceled, even if your health changes. Why do you need it? For peace of mind. Because funeral costs and other final expenses are at an all-time high. The benefit this plan pays can be used to help cover funeral costs, medical bills, and other final expenses. It can be a welcome relief to your loved ones at a time when they will need it most. Now, where do you get this guaranteed life insurance? From Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company. They specialize in making life insurance easy, just as they have for over 65 years. Colonial Penn is strong, reliable, and experienced, so you can be sure they'll be there in your family's time of need. And how do you get it? Glad you asked. Call the number on your screen right now. When you call, you'll get this free beneficiary plan. List important information you want your family to know. When should you call? How about right now? Taking action to help ensure your family's financial well-being is much too important to put off. So call now or
free information on coverage that fits your budget, call 1-800-220-7191. That's 1-800-220-7191. Get this beneficiary planner free just for calling. There's no obligation, so don't delay. The number again is 1-800-220-7191. Call now.
Gee, come on, I'm leaving now. Will you stop sulking? I just gotta go to dinner and then maybe take in a movie or something. I'm sorry for doing this for Roger. You don't think I'm interested in this galaxy, do you?
Let's see.
They are. Yeah, I'm gonna be home ready. All right. Well, I'm ready for anything.
Once upon a time, in a mythical place called Cape Kennedy, an astronaut named Tony Nelson went up on a space mission. The missile went up, but something went wrong, and they had to bring it down. Captain Nelson landed on an island in the South Pacific, where he found a bottle. At least it looked like a bottle, but it didn't act like a bottle. Because in it was a genie. Oh, not your average everyday genie, but a beautiful genie who could grant any wish.
Let's see.
Captain Nelson was so grateful he set Jeannie free. Only she didn't want to be free. You know how it is when you've been cooped up in a bottle for 2,000 years. She wanted to have fun, and she wanted to have it with Captain Nelson. So she followed him back to Cocoa Beach, a mythical town in a mythical state called Florida. And there in this house, the girl in the bottle plays Spin the astronaut.
Where is that radio? I'm gonna pick it up and walk away myself. Reading without a shade.
Uh-oh, wait a second. Okay, hold on.
Gene,
Hold
Gene, you come out of there right now.
on.
Morning, Master Darling. Call me, I said.
Well, first of all, you can stop calling me Master Darling. And secondly, you can stop being such a meekness.
What means this word, mister?
Well, it's like when you throw out my newspaper before I've read it, and you put her in a drawer, and now my razor's missing.
Oh, that. I got rid of it.
Why?
In the land from which I came, it is the fashion for all masters to wear beards.
Well, Jeannie, in this country, the only people who wear beards are folk singers and beatniks.
Oh, my handsome master would look like a king with a warrior's beard. Behold. Proper master.
Well, Jeannie, if I walk around Cape Kennedy like this, they'll blast me off without a capsule. No, that must be Dr. Phillips. Now, get me out of this quick. Well, thanks. Oh, thanks for the shave. Not very funny. Oh, no, it's not very funny. Well, then how many doorbells are? 1.5 bells. Well, I'm ready, sir. Shall we go? We don't want to be late for the briefing.
No, we don't, do we?
Nice day.
Screen.
Introducing Weight Watchers Simplified Program. With an easy-to-use app and over 200 zero-point foods, you'll never go hungry. Losing weight with Weight Watchers just got easier. Start today at www.com.
Debt has this way of dominating your life, keeping you from living and being who you really are. National Debt Relief can help change that. They can get you out of the cycle of minimum payments without going into bankruptcy or getting a consolidation loan, which just transfers your debt. See, National Debt Relief has this powerhouse team. They negotiate with your creditors to reduce the amount you owe by a lot.
National Debt Relief can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you can be debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months.
You need someone like National Debt Relief on your side who knows how to navigate the system and get you out of debt. It's time to put your debt behind you and get busy living. National Debt Relief can help you get back to being the real you. But you gotta take the first step.
If you owe more than $10,000, call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to find out how you can become debt-free. Your weather app says it's going to be sunny today, but is it really? Introducing Climb, the easy-to-use weather app you can trust. With Climb, get reliable forecasts to stay ahead of whatever Mother Nature has in store. Download Climb for free today.
Hunger Root is here. I'm gonna open a box, and my refrigerator is packed. Not him. His first name is Derek. Too young. Too old. Too medium-aged. Ooh, great reviews. Available tomorrow? Booked. Dr. Hamilton is perfect for me.
Search, read reviews, book a doctor on ZocDoc.
Eliza, she's the little ray of sunshine. Her laugh is full of joy and love. I'm so.
I've done here recently. So let's go down here. Now I'm working on a piece of masonite. This board you see here is a masonite board, and that's what I take my work to or work on so you can tilt it and move, which you'll be seeing here in a minute. But this is a little watercolor I just did yesterday, just for the TV show, just to show you. This took me about 30 minutes. See what I think, Steve, about watercolor. See, it's loose and free. You don't have to worry about detail. It's all about concepts, leaving pockets of space. I always give me some little mats like this. I've got some more here. So I have me several different sizes of mats. So during the painting process, I'm able to lay it on here and cut out my peripheral vision so you can see the end of it. So I have you 2 or 3 mats. Doesn't matter if you just have to get paint on. Don't worry about it. Just some old scrap mats. I keep a lot of these around the studio when I'm doing watercolor, different sizes. So that's an important thing to remember. So you'll see how that works. But this is a quick little watercolor. Now this is on paper. I'm going to show you now the different types of paper. This is 140-pound watercolor paper. Now watercolor paper, as you can see, it comes in all kinds. It comes in small sheets like this. You can get giant sheets that you can cut up. One of the smaller weights is 90-pound paper. This one is 90-pound paper because you can fold it. It's not quite as durable. It's great for doing like note cards, Christmas cards, and things like that. In fact, I think I've got one more folder. I want to show you. We're going to do one of these. What I've done is I've taken a piece of 90-pound watercolor paper. I fold it, and we're going to make a note card or Christmas card out of this. We might get started on that today. So the lightest weight paper I recommend you use so that you can go ahead and fold it and use it and tape it down. That's one of them. Now, the other paper that we want to use here, and that comes in a pad, just like a notepad, you can just tear it out. They also make what's called a watercolor block. Now, this is my favorite background to work on, or you might say paper to work on. And here's a small one. I've got some little studies here I'm going to show you. I actually did this one last night. This is a practice